Hello and welcome to today's session. In a previous session we've looked at a casualty that's on the ground, unresponsive but is breathing. But what do we do if they stop breathing? So we're going to have a look at the situation of an adult and following the current guidance of COVID-19. So as per any situation with a casualty, we approach by following Dr. ABC. So I've considered, before kneeling down here, is it safe? I've considered that danger to ensure that I do not end up getting injured myself and being in the same position as Annie here. Once we know it's safe, we're going to think about response. So hello, can you hear me? Can you open your eyes? Can you clasp my hand? So I'm talking either side of them in case they have any hearing issues. I'm giving them things to do so I can check on their level of response. In this situation, they're not responding. I've also kept my distance, not going down too close to the face, just in case they are suffering from COVID. I've had no response. If I'm on my own, I want to shout for help and try and get some attention, get somebody to me that could phone the ambulance while I look after the casualty, or could get me things that I need. Next, we want to think about the airway. So my palm of the hand is on the forehead, 2 fingers underneath the chin, I'm tipping back. And because of COVID, I'm keeping my distance, I'm watching the chest rising and falling, and I cannot see any movement. I cannot hear any breathing. At this stage, I am concerned that this casualty is not breathing, and I want to think about calling for an ambulance. If someone's come to me, then they can do the call. Alternatively, I can get out my mobile, I can think about dialing 999 and putting it on speakerphone so I can work on my casualty while talking to the ambulance service. For more information, see the session on getting assistance from the emergency services. Once that call is in, we've got an ambulance on the way because we need that priority to get the necessary equipment and drugs to us. We can continue working on our casualty. So it's unlikely anything's going to have changed while I made that call. So now I want to think about starting compressions. And to protect myself during this time of COVID, I'm going to cover the nose and mouth with a cloth, which I could have got if I'd had to go and get an ambulance, or I could be using a hanky that I've got in my pocket, or if someone's come to me, they can be passing me items. I then want to be bringing myself up over the casualty. I'm interlocking my fingers, I'm up and over. It's no good working from here, I won't get enough force and I'll get tired very quickly. So I'm up over the casualty. I want to press down about 1/3 of the depth of the chest, and I want to be compressing at 100 to 120 compressions a minute. Now on Annie, you can hear the clicker, and you can hear I'm getting an effective depth. A real person is not going to have a clicker to let you know you've gone the right depth, but you might hear ribs crack. Do not be frightened of that. The important thing is you are working on your casualty and pressing the chest. Now we need to keep this going continuously. It is tiring. So if you've got your bystander that's come around to see what's going on, if they've been seeing what you can do, then you can swap with them every 2 minutes and instruct them on the CPR to keep it going. So just keep going. If you see a change in your casualty, then you can do the checks, and if you realise that they have got normal breathing again, then you can stop and then think about putting them on their side to allow for drainage. Alternatively, you might get so tired that it's becoming a danger for you to continue and you have to make that difficult decision to stop. Or the ambulance service arrive and they tell you to stop because they're going to take over. Don't see blue lights and think, oh great, they're here, I can stop, I'm really tired. Give them time to arrive, get out their equipment, and they will set up around you. Okay, so we've come in, we've checked for danger, we've checked for response, we've opened the airway, we've checked for breathing. We don't have a patient that's breathing, we've called for an ambulance. And having called for an ambulance, we then start chest compressions at a depth of 1/3 of the depth of the chest, probably about 4 to 5 centimetres, at a rate of 100 to 120 a minute. We keep that going until we can physically no longer continue. we see a change and we think we see normal breathing, or the ambulance service arrive and tell us to stop. So let's see that in practice. Hello, can you hear me? Can you open your eyes? Can you clasp my hand? Help! So you got to see a run through of CPR in practice, but clearly you're not going to have an Annie at home to practice on. So Ted's here again to give us a helping hand. If you have a toy that is suitable for your child to practice on, then let them have a go and see how they put the skills to good use. So let's see how Ted can help us practice our CPR. Hello, can you hear me? Can you open your eyes? Can you clasp my hand? Help! So in that practical, you've just seen an adult being treated who is not breathing and following the COVID-19 guidance. We class an adult as puberty and above, which is quite a range, and that means a casualty could be of various sizes that we're dealing with, as well as the first aider being of various sizes. So our guidance is always 2 hands for an adult, but judge it based on your casualty. If you think your casualty is very slight, but you are very strong and you'll be able to achieve with 1 hand, then you can look at 1 hand in the centre of the chest and look at doing the compressions. But you can see here I'm not getting effective compressions, so it's important that we use the 2. The key thing with resuscitation is to get good effective compressions and get that blood circulating. That is what will oxygenate the brain and keep them alive. So if you are dealing with a child, we're not covering that in detail here, but you can follow this guidance, but using 1 hand to get effective compressions. If actually it's a very big child, then use your 2 hands. Use your common sense and make sure you're doing effective compressions. So that's us having a look at an adult that is not breathing. In the next session, we will take a look at the automated external defibs, or AEDs, that you find now in community centres, in schools, airports, and we'll give you an idea of how you can easily use that to help save a life.